Hey guys, I'm here with a well-needed frequently asked questions video. This is coming out of the need of me, kind of neglecting this channel a little bit. A lot of you guys had a lot of the same questions, and so I'm here to answer them. And I responded to mostly everybody, but I think I could elaborate a little more. So here I am making this video. I'm just gonna get right into it and talk about the most asked question that I have overall, and it is, what hygiene school did I go to? Now, you're not gonna like my answer because I'm still not gonna say it on camera where I went for a few reasons. One of them, and probably the main one, is I really don't want to get sued or I don't know if that's possible, but I don't know. Not that I don't want to be affiliated with my school, of course not, but they have a certain image and maybe I don't fit that image, and vice versa, Also, we live in a day and age where you can easily look up, so much information, especially at me as a hygienist. I put my name on there. You can totally, don't do it. Please respect my privacy. But you can totally look up people's information, which is fine. I put myself out there publicly, but for my school, what does it matter, I know this is not what you guys want to hear, but I will say this. Most of you guys already guessed it. You can tell, a lot of you guys, if you are familiar with the school I went to, you know what school I went to because of the scrubs I was wearing. It's not hard to figure out. There's only so many accelerated programs here in Southern California. But I'm not here to necessarily recommend or condemn them. It wasn't a bad program. I just don't know if they want to be affiliated with me. So there's that. I'll tell you guys exactly what happened in hygiene school. That makes me kind of ooh, because I was looking for patients in my area. And I kind of not advertised, but was saying hey, I'm open, contact me if you want to come in for your cleanings, and then giving them the parameters of our dental clinic and everything. And I tagged the school and I tagged my location, and the higher ups from the main headquarters of my school found my Instagram page, and they're because obviously I tagged them, I tagged them. But the reason why I was on my program director's radar, which I didn't even think of, my Instagram handle at the time had a bad word in it. And it wasn't like a silly bad word. It was a kind of a offensive bad word. It was the F word, okay? Let's just say that. My Instagram handle had the F word, and they were so offended by it. They said, how can you, as a hygienist who is seeking professionalism, want to be affiliated with such offensive words? And I honestly didn't even think twice, because I had made that Instagram handle years ago. When Instagram first came out, I made this handle, and it was dumb and silly, and of course I've changed it. I changed it that day when we had that meeting, because I was maybe she's right, maybe it's time to take that off or whatever. But that's one of the reasons why I kind of don't want to be affiliated with them, because they have a certain image and I have a certain image, and sometimes that doesn't coincide. Anyways, I just spent about 10 minutes talking about this school that I didn't even tell you what school I went to, but it's the school I went to. And it's the school, you guys, Anyway, next question. Whoa, another frequently asked question was always, do I need to be a dental assistant to become a hygienist? I already made a whole video on that. Short answer is no. But there's, I go into all of it, why it can benefit you, why it cannot benefit you, or doesn't necessarily benefit you. No. Anyways, moving on. The next frequently asked questions I have here. The next frequently asked question is about the HESI or the Wonderlic that I took in hygiene school. You guys might not like this answer, but a lot of you guys were asking me, how did you study for the HESI? What was on the HESI? What can I expect from the HESI? I took my HESI, but I didn't know that I was going to be taking it that day. I went to tour the campus and tour the clinic. And then they asked me, oh, do you want to take the placement test since you're here? And I was like, placement test? Like, I knew nothing about it. He was like, you need to take this test, and it's a HESI. And I was like, HESI? Like, I had no idea what a HESI was. I didn't know. And they have it for, like, a lot of things, not just dental hygiene, but I think they do it for, like, nursing students, pharmacy students, a lot of things like that. But when he said HESI, I was like, what did you just call me? Like, I really didn't know what the HESI was. So I didn't study at all. And it was like, I think it was like a 2 or 3 hour test. And I do remember, it's been such a long time, you guys. But I do remember that I think there was 2 English portions of it. Like, there was like reading comprehension and then something else with English. And then there was the math part. And that's what you guys, your comments were more concerned about was the math portion of it. And honestly, I think, okay, this is me racking my brain from like 2017 or whenever it was. 2016? I don't even know when this was. Like, Jesus, it's been so long. It hasn't been a long time, but you know. Anyways, I think the questions get increasingly harder as you go through the test, because I remember like, oh yeah, this is easy, I remember this stuff, whatever. And if I didn't, like, I would rack my brain and kind of like just try to answer it the best I could. But then I do know that there was, what got me was the fractions. They threw fractions in there. I hadn't done fractions since, like, I don't know, 6th grade. I hadn't done any math, like any kind of like math, learning math, homework, math, like super involved math, since like maybe like my junior year of high school. And this was like 6-7 years later after that. So maybe longer. So they threw in fractions, like multiplication and dividing and all this stuff. And I was like, holy mother of, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, and then that's not even the worst part. The worst part was they gave us metric conversions. And I'm like, I don't know metrics because I am an ignorant American. That's, oops, like, sorry. But they threw that in there. So if you plan to take this HESI, I don't even know if it's the same HESI, but that's what I experienced. And a lot of you guys were asking me like about study guides and things like that, but I didn't take one. But I still passed, and I passed decently. I scored pretty well, even on the math portion. So I'm not really sure. Like, I'm sure that they graded like how, if you got the answer right or wrong, but I don't know how they score it for you to get into the hygiene program, if that makes sense. So I would definitely recommend maybe like Google searching practice HESI or Wonderlic. You guys have asked about Wonderlic. I think that's the Canadian version. I might be wrong about that, but at my school we did the HESI. Oh, by the way, there is another HESI. I think HESI stands for something. This is me showing my true side of not really knowing what I'm talking about. But we took a second HESI before our national boards in class. They gave us a practice national board, which was the HESI. Because in hygiene school, if you want to test for your boards while you're still in hygiene school, you have to pass the HESI. Again, at least for my program, you had to test for the HESI. And if you passed, and you passed with a good grade, then the program director would sign off on it and allow you to take your national boards, which is the written portion, while you're still in school. And honestly, to me, that's probably the best option, because it's still fresh in your head, and you're like, even though you're still learning it, the stuff that you're learning at the end isn't like such a big portion of it. But anyway, so if you're not feeling confident, definitely study, look it up. Like, I don't know if they have practice HESIs. I don't know, maybe I should research that. But if you're not feeling confident, the main thing here is like, am I gonna get in or not? If you fail it, guess what? They didn't charge me to take that test, so I can just retake it. So if you have the time, if getting into hygiene school isn't about like doing it in, it has to be done then and now, and in my position at that time, it needed to be done then and now, and I needed to get accepted at that time, or else I wouldn't have done it. Then yes, study. Definitely study. Do what you have to do. So the next frequently asked question that I have is about the kind of degree I earned in this accelerated program. I earned an Associates of Science degree, and I know in community colleges, they offer you a bachelor's because you do your prerequisites first. It is a whole 4-year thing, but it just really depends what kind of schooling you want. The only difference is the prerequisite portion of it. The hygiene program portion of it is the same exact thing, at least here where I live. You learn the same things, you take the same boards, you get licensed by the same entities, and you get hired by the same dentist in your area. So the only reason why I would ever go back and get my bachelor's rather than just having my associates is, for the obvious reason, having more education. It does not pay you more working in an office if you have a bachelor's versus an associate's degree. Typical dental offices, if your dentist is your employer or whatever corporation, they pay you the same if you have a bachelor's versus an associate's. The only places, at least that I have in my own brain that I can think of right from the top of my head, that care about what kind of degree you have is if you're teaching. They always want you to have a degree above the classes you're teaching. So if you're teaching an accelerated program, they want you to have a bachelor's, and if you're teaching a bachelor's, they want you to have a master's, etc., 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 etc. And also, I think some rep companies want you to have bachelor's degrees because to my understanding, rep positions are very competitive, and so they try to filter it out and make it not less competitive, but elevate it a little bit and ask you to have a bachelor's degree. Now, that's just what I've experienced in my area. Doesn't mean that that's true. And if you're a rep with an associate's degree, let me know. I would love to hear about that. And actually, I would love to just even talk to you about, your experience as a rep and stuff like that. So let me know. Hit me up. Anyway, so there really is no immediate pay difference having your associate's degree and your bachelor's degree. In the long run, you could make more money working as having a bachelor's degree, because it can just open up different avenues, just like any degree can open up more avenues for you. So that's just that. But we're all, in the end, licensed by the same people and usually hired by the same people. Another frequently asked question that I have is, how difficult was it to find employment after hygiene school? And it was not difficult at all, at all. at all. And this was my experience. Maybe because I had dental experience before, it was easy for me. But I don't even want to say that, because I literally signed up with a temp agency who had me going to offices to fill in and work as a hygienist the very next day after I got licensed. So maybe overall, to find a full-time office, my experience helped me, and just in general, like, it helped me, my prior work experience. But it was not hard at all. And I do know that the school I went to does help with employment, but I never used them. I never used them to help me find employment, because it wasn't that difficult. It was there when I finished school, there was a lot of jobs available, and even now, during this crazy pandemic COVID time, there are more offices too, because a lot of people don't feel comfortable coming back and working. So I got a new job during the pandemic time. So I'm fortunate enough to say that, though. I'm fortunate enough that I have never had too much of an issue finding employment. Maybe that's something that's just on me. I don't know. I really don't know. But I will say that I do interview well, so maybe that's what that is. I do have a big personality, and people like that, and I usually am able to blend seamlessly into an office. And I think my years of dental experience kind of helped me with that. So I mean, that's just it is what it is. No, I did not have difficulty finding a job, and I don't think that a fresh hygienist out of school will have difficulty finding a job. Like, even maybe you'll have difficulty finding full-time employment because it's kind of crazy time right now, but finding a job, even just temping, it's not a bad gig. It's not a bad gig. I'm gonna make a whole video about temping and having 2 jobs and everything, so look out for that. You can kind of weigh the options for yourself. But yeah, if I didn't touch on anything that you guys were really curious about, let me know. Leave the comments. I am here to answer these questions. But if not, I will see you guys in my next video. And one question. Have you flossed today?